We also got some guys that we were going after that we didn't got. What'd you think?
Yeah, pretty general thoughts would be just a decent class. Really not too good, not too great, but not a bad class. Especially when you consider going 6-6. Definitely a lot of talent in here, a lot to be excited about. A lot of guys that look like future starters, but the biggest issue I have with the class is the lack of numbers at offensive line and cornerback. Two of your biggest needs. We knew that the whole cycle, and they really didn't deliver.
Okay, so when you really look at that, especially at the cornerback position and the offensive line position, I mean, we did get Jalen Rivers, but why do you think that was? Why do you think that we, especially knowing that, this is supposed to be the year that in the state of Florida, they have the most talented offensive line that a lot of people have ever seen. So why do you think Manny and the guys didn't really go after more offensive linemen, especially after what happened last year?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I actually asked that question to Coach Diaz at the press conference yesterday. Didn't get a great answer. He gave his standard, political answer about it, but at least from my thought is a lot of the guys you just missed on, like Marcus Dumerville just didn't want to be here. Isaiah Walker wanted to go to Florida. That's going to happen. My bigger issue is not those guys. It's someone like Marlon Martinez. This is a Cuban guy, talented offensive lineman from St. Thomas who ended up signing with LSU. We offered after he had already committed to LSU. You can't be late on a prospect like that. Another guy would be like Chris Love from American Heritage. Mm-hmm. We brought him into a camp over the summer. He worked out. We didn't end up offering him. He ends up going to Maryland. So there's Power 5 guys down here that we just didn't even offer or didn't offer until it's too late. You're going to lose recruiting battles. That's going to happen. But when you're late to the party for someone in your own backyard or you don't offer at all, that's unacceptable to me. And I think a lot of that is, it's on both Coach Berry and Coach Diaz. You got to be quicker with your evaluations. You got to be the first one out there, especially when you're not putting a good product on the field. You can't afford to be late.
So what do you say to the people that says, hey, well, this is Manny's this is going to be his first real recruiting class. I mean, does he get an excuse? This is his first year with this full offensive staff especially.
Really, no. Your first class is supposed to be your best class. It's kind of the honeymoon class. So that to me, it's not an excuse. It makes it almost even a little more disappointing that you weren't able to get at least one of those South Florida offensive linemen to commit to you over the summer. Just on top of that, I don't care what year it is, there's no excuse to have a school like LSU be able to find a top target before you when 20 miles down the road from your school. That's never going to be acceptable. I don't care what year you are in.
Okay, Manny, he did make some changes in the scouting department, bringing up Van Dyke, also promoting Cooney. Did you agree with those moves? And how do those moves affect who we offer and who we do not offer?
I don't know how much they affected who you offer. I know that those guys have connections to the program, and someone like Coach Cooney has South Florida connections, but it's more so, I think they're more involved in on-campus recruiting, kind of setting up the visits. Like they're really, the guys interacting with the recruits like a lot of times around campus. More so the underclassmen than the upperclassmen. The upperclassmen are usually taken by their position coach. But those guys are really, like when they have big off-season recruiting days, that's really when they make their money. That's more of what they do. But they a lot of times they are the first contact. Like, well, maybe the staff is still evaluating. Coach Cooney would be an offensive prospect, and Coach Van Dyke would be the first contact to a defensive prospect, and then the position coach would come in.
Okay. We're talking to Matt, writer for Canes Insight. Recruiting is what he does.
The way he hits the hole, and he's really hard to bring down. He's a small guy, low center of gravity, and if you don't come, to take him down lower.
It's looking bad right now for Utah, and right now, even if they come back, there's no way they're making the playoffs.
not doing any of these guys any favors, and we're never going to get better if we keep on playing musical chairs. And the way it looks like it's going, it looks like we're going to keep on doing the same thing going into the spring, and it looks like the same thing might happen next season. So I just want the starting quarterback to be named so that starting quarterback can actually learn, grow, and develop instead of having the quarterback competition every week. And I mean, it's not all his fault. I mean, N'Kosi Perry, I think he's better than Jarren. Basically, at this point, I was going to bat for Jarren Williams, but really, I just go to bat for whoever's the starting quarterback. But I mean, I think N'Kosi should be the guy. But the thing with N'Kosi is, like, the coaches, I don't know what it is. The coaches just never really believe in him. He doesn't really get a lot of chances. Like, if he makes a couple of mistakes, he automatically gets benched. And then Jarren Williams, man, I mean, Jarren Williams at times, he just looks inexperienced. But, I mean, I'm just really frustrated with the whole quarterback situation.
I wonder how good N'Kosi would look if Manny Diaz came out and said N'Kosi's our guy no matter what, like he did with Jarren. I wonder how N'Kosi. That question needs to be asked. That I wonder if N'Kosi knew 100% that no matter what I did tonight, I'm going to be the starting quarterback. How he would play.
Yeah, and you damaged the man's confidence. I mean, the man's confidence has already been hit several times. Although we don't see it, I mean, he's made an Instagram post. I don't know if you saw, but he had the selfie in the mirror, and he was talking about how he's just a young kid trying to live life, trying to be happy and things like that. So I mean, it's obviously affecting him.
Somebody put a quote out, and it said, somebody tweeted this. They said, Tate Martell has missed several games due to personal reasons. Jarren has missed practice, and he's threatened to transfer. N'Kosi has stood strong from day one.
Exactly. This man, N'Kosi Perry, you can tell the kind of person N'Kosi Perry is, man. I mean, Tate Martell, I saw a couple of things about Tate Martell. A couple of people saying he's skipping practices, that he hang out with his girlfriend. I don't know if there's any truth to that or anything like that. But, I mean, N'Kosi Perry he's the definition of loyalty, man. And, I mean, at this point, man, I would have already named N'Kosi Perry the starter. I don't get why we keep playing musical chairs at quarterback, man. It just goes to show you the inexperience Manny Diaz has of being a head coach, and hopefully he learns. Do you think he'll learn?
I don't know, man, because look, and this is, me, I'm a big Tate Martell fan. I like Tate, and I don't know what's going on with this guy's reputation. I don't know what's going on, but letting him go back and forth, it sets a bad. It's a bad look to the team. Letting him go back and forth. Letting Jarren miss practice. Jarren missed practice just because. No personal reason, just because he wanted to miss practice. And then you let Cleveland, I think it was Cleveland Reed, the offensive lineman, he goes into the transfer portal. Probably didn't get a lot of people wanting his services. I don't know that for a fact. But then you let him come back. You go and get Jeff Thomas. And I understood that because you weren't the head coach back then. But JT, you're playing football right now in Florida. If your coach is just letting people quit left and right, what people gonna do? Run over them?
Well, yeah, and it happens on my high school team. I mean, favoritism is everything, man. I remember a couple years ago, we had a talented quarterback, and he got angry at the coaches, cussed them out. Coaches said next man up. He came back a couple of hours later. So I mean, it just shows favoritism, and it doesn't send a good message to the locker room, because coming from a guy like me that has been through some of the similar things, I mean, the locker room, it messes up the locker room, because then players feel like it's unfair because that player gets special treatment. You got players who want to transfer because things are even. They're not getting the same opportunities, man. So I mean, it's just a whole. You can tell Manny Diaz inexperienced as the head coach, man. You can just tell, man.
And the thing about it is, the thing about this is, once a coach sets a tone, and he has set a tone, and remember, we're losing some seniors, but this is a fairly young team, especially on the offensive side.
Yeah.
So once you set that tone that you're letting people do whatever they want to, and you're all buddy, you can't just flip the switch.
You become an enabler. You become an
enabler. I don't know if you can come back and say, okay, now I'm going to be a hard ass next season.
The only way you can do that, the only way now that Manny Diaz has set that being the culture, is he has to wait for all these freshman guys he recruited to be all the way out the next 4 years. and then try to implement it in the next coming class. But I mean, even now.